Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, it's Adam here and welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for the month of April 2016. As per usual, I'm going to show you guys some stuff that you've already seen just a little bit. Like first I got that controller by Controller Chaos back here, which is a GameCube controller. Did a whole video on that. Really sweet controller, but I actually wanted to use it more as a display piece. So I got rid of the Sonic amiibo. I still have it, it's just in the other room. But I thought that may be more interesting to look at from now on. I like the controller a lot, but it's like so nice that I feel like I'm going to wreck it if I play with it. So again, you can see that video if you're not sure what the hell I'm talking about. But there's that, and then earlier this month I did a video on these. This is the Japanese edition of Pure Solar, an independent Sega Dreamcast game. This is the European edition. These are purely aesthetic. It's a region-free independent game. It's just, you know, to match your collection. I already had the North American version, but I wanted to pick these up. And then I got Ghostblade, the collector's edition. Again, I did a whole video on these and why I got them, but long and the short of it is, they're Dreamcast games, independent Dreamcast games. I already owned them, but I wanted to get these other variants just to have for collector's reasons. So there you go. But now, moving on to newer items. Nothing totally nuts here, just a nice healthy amount of things that I wanted to get for one reason or another. And you'll see this big blue pile, of course, is Nintendo Wii U stuff. Now, I've been saying for a long time, I really like the Wii U. I've really wanted to have a full set of it for a long time because I've been saying this for years. If you go back and watch my videos, that console is going to be something that collectors go after because it's not going to end up with a particularly big library, and I wanted to get out in front of that. So for a long time, I've been picking up a lot of the Wii U games. But earlier this month, or maybe it was like towards the tail end of March, more technically, I don't even really remember. But what we heard is a rumor that Nintendo had ceased hardware production on the Wii U. Nintendo denied this, but a lot of people think Nintendo's just saying that to save face and that it's probably true. Even if it's not, it's inevitable that the Wii U is on its last, it's in its last battle. It's fighting its last stand, as it were. So I still maintain that I don't think they're going to make Wii U games for another year. I think you have until March, maybe April of 2017 till the last Wii U titles come out. And even then, it'll probably be like Skylanders and Disney Infinity stuff. Because usually it's sports games, and the Wii U doesn't even end up with sports games because it just doesn't get that many titles. So my point is, I have a bunch of the Wii U games. I wanted to try and track down more of them. Here's what I ended up picking up. Though, side note, if the Wii U really did cease hardware production at the end of March, beginning of April, that means the Xbox 360, which launched in 2005 and ceased production on like April 20th, April 21st, whatever it was, outlived it. Okay, assuming that's true. That's, you know, we don't take it with a grain of salt because again, we don't know the inner workings of Nintendo. They might be telling the truth. No, we're still making it. I don't know, but there's a lot of reasons to think they're not. Doesn't fucking matter. Let's talk about the games I picked up. So basically, I ran around all these stores and just tried to find any game I didn't already own that was an acceptable condition and price, etc. So here's what I got. First, The Amazing Spider-Man Ultimate Edition. This game was also released on the PS3 and the 360, although this is supposedly the best version because, at least on console anyway, because it has all the DLC built on disc, which is nice. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Ben 10 Omniverse. Ben 10 Omniverse 2. Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Planes, Fire and Rescue. Injustice, Gods Among Us. It looks like the DCU is going to build up to this storyline as a movie. I'm not going to go into it here, but I had a whole video about why I thought the DCU was doing everything wrong, and this storyline, it's not what I wanted to see, but it doesn't matter. Lego Batman 2. This is actually a really good game. I beat this on the 360 a while back. Really, really fun. So yeah, if you got a Wii U, I bet you already know about all the Lego games, but I think the Lego games are going to be some of the better, more sought-after third-party titles. And they won't necessarily be valuable, but they'll actually be better games that people will want if they have a Wii U. Speaking of which, got Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham. I beat this on the PS4. This is a really fun game too. I don't know how the Wii U version is, because I imagine it's heavily watered down from the PS4 version, but nevertheless, cool game. Lego Hobbit. Penguins of Madagascar. Phineas and Ferb Quest for Cool Stuff. As you can see, a lot of kids games, some of the stuff from the beginning of the Wii that I never bothered to get around to. because they're kids games. But now you just get them just to get them off the list, which is also why I got this. And this is going to be somewhat controversial. Pokken Tournament or Pokken Tournament. I assume it's Pokken because it's Pokemon. I'll tell you this right now. I don't really care about Pokemon. I never have. Even when I was a kid, when Pokemon was popular, I never gave a shit. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just never been my thing. I've never cared. This is the only Pokemon game I own, and I'll be brutally honest. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm going for a full Wii U set, I would not have picked this up. So, but there it is. I got it. I supported Nintendo. Give us some more games before you bury this console. That's my motivation for buying this, in addition to getting it for a set. Now this one, I wanted to support Nintendo, and I actually wanted the game, Star Fox Zero. This is the launch edition that has Star Fox Zero and Star Fox Guard. As you can see, it's a bigger case. That's a paper outer case. And inside there's two just like regular Wii U style cases, one for each game. Now apparently they already intend to do reissues of Star Fox Zero after the first print run, which will not include Star Fox Guard. So if you care about having a physical edition of Star Fox Guard, get it now. Wipeout 3, and Wii Party U, which I was glad to find. I found this of all places at a Walmart. Now I never buy video games at Walmart because I think they kind of suck for buying video games. But that game in particular is actually one of the first-party Nintendo titles that's actually kind of harder to find now. They only did one print run of it, and I never picked it up back in the day. Walmart had it for like 20 bucks, which was nice because now the third-party sellers basically now sell it for like 50 to 60 bucks, generally more on the 60 side, which is technically is retail, but since you can't really buy it at retail anymore, it's hard to say that $60 is still retail for that game. Anyway, point is I didn't want to pay 60 bucks for that game, and I didn't have to, so that was nice. But now, moving on, it wouldn't be PlayLoad if I didn't have some Xbox stuff, I guess. Nah, there have been episodes where I had no Xbox stuff, but in this case, I did get some. But before I did, I got this, Zero, the Kamikaze Squirrel for the Sega Genesis. I don't get that much Genesis stuff, but this is a loose cartridge of a rather uncommon game. Now, I wasn't expecting to find this or to buy this. It's also a former rental copy, so it's not in the best of shape. Like, I got the manual here, but it's got, like plastic tape all around the sides. And you know what I mean by that plastic clear type of tape. It's got a sticker on it saying what its rental number was, a barcode thing, and saying where it originally came from, which was apparently Flushing, Michigan. Superstar Video is where this thing originated. How it floated out here, I don't know, but it happens. The game itself has a sticker on it, which sucks. It was much worse condition. I actually cleaned it up a lot. Because it was a former rental, it was much cheaper than usual. It was only like 20 bucks. If you look it up, it's a much more expensive game than that usually. So I figured I'm never going to find it for cheaper, so I went ahead and pulled the trigger. So happy to add to the collection. Now, I got an Xbox 360 title. I got Sniper Elite V2, Silver Star Edition. I originally played this on the Wii U, the Sniper Elite V2, just the regular version, vanilla version. I loved it. I thought that game was amazing. It was so much fun. I know a lot of people hate that game. I know a lot of people think it's like really buggy and awful, etc. But I don't know what you're talking about. I had a great time. I thought it was a lot of fun. Maybe it's because I don't play into the online component. Maybe that's very possibly what it is. But the single-player campaign I thought was fantastic, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Even though it's pretty short, you can do it in a few hours. But I found out that they had re-released it on the 360 with all the DLC on disc. And I was like, oh, I need to pick that up if I ever find it. And I kept seeing it every once in a while, but usually for like 20 to 30 bucks. And then I found it for $7. So I was like, oh, done deal. So I picked it up, ended up replaying the whole game, plus the DLC, only a couple hours, but it was a lot of fun. And now the rest of these are OG Xbox games. Now, if you saw the last episode of PlayLoad, I showed you guys a ton of regional exclusive Xbox stuff I picked up, mostly Japanese, and then a bunch of European stuff, and one special title that was only released in Singapore called Damon Vector. Now, as it turns out, it was also released in Taiwan. Bonus, if you now have two options, you can find it. While doing that, I found out that there were actually a few Australian Xbox exclusives. I say Australian, and I'm also throwing New Zealand in there. I recognize that you guys, of course, are two different countries, but yeah, I know these games were released in Australia. I don't know if they came out in New Zealand as well, but typically if it comes out in one, it comes out in the other. However, typically if it comes out in Australia, it comes out in Europe, and these didn't. Sort of. So, I know, that'll make more sense in a moment. But anyway, so when I was looking into getting these games, a friend of mine in the UK, yes, the UK, named Ben, aka Shenmuso, check out his channel, I was talking to him about these exclusives, and he's like, hey, I got a friend in Australia, he can round them up. So shout out to him, his buddy's name was Electric Adventures, check out his channel as well. He basically rounded all these games up for me, put them all in one package, and shipped them together because it'd be much cheaper that way than shipping individual packages. Once I got them, I found out that 2 of them actually were released in Europe, but under different names. Those 2 would be NRL Rugby League and NRL Rugby League 2. These were released in Europe as Super Rugby League and Super Rugby League 2. Aside from their name being different and slightly different cover art, they do actually have one significant difference, which is that the teams, I should say, not characters, the teams are apparently different. I guess they used authentic Australian teams in the Australian version, and I'm not sure what kind they used in the European version, if they're like made-up teams or maybe they're European teams. I was under the impression Europe didn't have rugby. Forgive me if I'm wrong, I'm an American. Rugby is not really a thing here. But yeah, so I got the Australian versions. I wouldn't bother with the European versions though. I have this, that's totally fine with me. But what that means is there are actually 5 legitimate exclusive Australian titles, possibly also in New Zealand again, not sure. But here's what they are. Ricky Ponting International Cricket 2005. Yes, I'm sorry to say that these are all sports games. What were you expecting? those kinds of exclusives are always fucking sports titles. They're never like good, unique, awesome games. If they were, they wouldn't be exclusives. They would have left. I mean, granted, Japan, of course, gets like awesome exclusive titles the rest of us don't get, but countries like Australia, I'm sure, get shafted horribly on stuff like that. Actually, come to think of it, correct me if I'm wrong, again, anyone in Australia or New Zealand, I actually can't think of any other console that ever had Australian exclusive titles. They must exist. But like all the consoles I've ever looked into for exclusives, obviously original Xbox, but things like the Wii U, the Dreamcast, the Saturn, anything I've ever really tried to pay attention to find out where the exclusives are, I've never found another console that did. But I imagine consoles like the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 1 and maybe even PlayStation 3 must have had them. But if you know any, I'm genuinely curious, put them in the comments, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, there's Ricky Ponting. Now up, we have AFL, or Australian Football League, Live 2003, AFL Live 2004, AFL Live Premiership Edition, and AFL Premiership. AFL Live Premiership Edition and AFL Premiership are different games, not just different cover art. They are actually 2 totally different releases, though I would be lying if I told you exactly what the differences are. I think this is essentially AFL 2005 and this is maybe 2006. I'm not 100% on that. But now we have one more title here. And again, if you saw the previous episode of PlayLoad, and I was talking about all those Asian exclusives I'd gone after, the Japanese one plus the Singapore one, I mentioned to you there was only 2 Asian exclusives I was missing. Now one of them I don't have yet, but the other one was only released in, of all places, South Korea. Only. And I didn't think I'd ever be able to find it, because I was having no luck. And then I did. I found a website that was like a proxy service that was, they buy stuff inside of South Korea and then they ship it to a place in South Korea and then they ship it to you. And it was relatively cheap. And that game is Zillernet. It's basically a South Korean karaoke game. But yeah, only released in South Korea. It was, again, like I said, surprisingly cheap. It was only $24. This game was brand new, sealed, when I got it. That includes the shipping from the guy who had it to the warehouse proxy company, and then the warehouse proxy company shipping it across the ocean to me. And on top of that, it included this as a random bonus, a sealed headset for the original Xbox. Obviously, I haven't opened it. I have no intention of doing that. I think it's just a cool display piece. I don't even think it's actually compatible with this particular game. Even if it was, I mean, Xbox Live, the original service, does not exist anymore. So it's just a cool little display piece. But oddly, it was cheaper to buy it with this than without. I think without it was like $36. So I was like, all right, fuck it. So yeah, 24 bucks, and I got like one of the most uncommon, elusive, original Xbox games that exists. So there you go. It's one of those titles that people weren't even sure actually existed. But yes, it does. Zillernet is real. So there you go, guys. That's my pickups for the month of April 2016. Like I said, nothing totally crazy, but a lot of stuff that I was able to take off the checklist there, which is really nice. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.